Hey, what's up, guys? Here on another episode of Eli and Mike. And today, here on Rodeo in Beverly Hills, myself and Mike have the pleasure of introducing an amazing real estate agent in the Beverly Hills area. She's selling luxury, she's selling life, everything that you can imagine.
Yes.
Angel Collins is here from Selling LA Luxury.
Yes.
Hi. I'm so
Loves
excited to
it,
be
loves
here.
it. Thank you for being here with us. We're so excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And honestly, we've known you for, I think, a couple years now, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Quite some time
and,
now.
And it's almost like I can place somebody else there and nobody would tell the difference. And you're just like this more radiant, colorful, vibrant person. And I'm really excited to just do this interview because you have a lot of story to tell. And I'm just really
Yes.
excited about it.
Right.
And we can't wait. This is why we needed to do the podcast.
I'm
you
so
know?
excited. I've been fans of you guys since the first day. I
What?
remember I saw you guys. I was like, you guys are gonna be my best friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my
And
God.
she is actually the
Right.
realtor bestie, the only
Yes.
one, and the only one you should have on your phone. And she knows this.
Right. The bestie. She's in the house. So
Yeah,
we
you're
love it.
bestie always.
And we've been fans of you as well. We've been working at different businesses, all of us actually.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we always gravitate toward
Back
each
to each
other,
other.
back to each other. We're always in the same room.
Yeah, how did this? We ended up here, all of
Yeah,
us.
right.
What happened?
Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills. We're both Rodeo Realty agents, which
Yeah.
is one of, to me, it's an amazing place to be at. How are you feeling about this whole venture with Rodeo Realty?
I'm happy to be back. I was
Okay.
here a few years ago
Oh my
when I was
gosh.
launching my team.
Okay.
I needed to like escape to, kind of figure out the team aspect. Rodeo is more solo agent driven.
Yes.
I understand why now.
Right.
I had a big team and like no longer. Just a few of us left, but I don't know, like the leadership, the integrity, the reputation,
Mhm.
Right.
and the systems like
Mhm.
that they have is just unmatched. It's
Right.
like classic. It's
Yes,
like
love
Beverly
that.
Hills classic,
Mm-hmm.
like elegant,
Right.
very peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
very focused
Right.
brokerage. I love it.
And the laws and everything that's in place with documentation, which is
Oh,
so
yeah.
important when you're selling real estate.
Yeah.
They're just so on point because they've been around for a good amount of
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
just feel it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they also like when we came back, it was really cool because when I was there originally, I was a very newer agent,
Mhm.
and then now coming back with almost 100 million in sales
Wow.
with my team, it's like a very different experience.
Yes.
I walk in and
Right.
people like know who we are. I was like, it's like
Yes.
really, it's like almost like imposter syndrome. Like, is this happening?
Right.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Well, hold up. Let's go backwards. You just said 100 million.
Right.
Guys, 100 million.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
so let's talk about that, right? Now that you
Yeah.
brought that up, how is it that, how do you close 100 million? I've been in lending for a long time. For me to close 100 million means I have to sell, like, I don't even know how many hundreds of
Working
homes.
day and night, 24/7. Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
so how do you put so much emphasis considering, you're also a working mother? There's so much more
Mhm.
to you, and we'll expand on that in a little bit, but
Yes.
how did you make that happen? What kind of
Mm.
process is that?
Well, I'm entering my 5th year full time.
Mhm.
Previous to
Amazing.
that, I worked for a broker. So I learned
Okay.
everything I need to know. A very honorable broker in the West Side. And honestly, I think I averaged like 16 to 20-hour days for the
Okay.
first 3.5 years, even through pregnancy, through breastfeeding, all of it. And I just didn't take no for an answer.
Mhm.
So I
Love
was
that.
kind of like that. You could say like really like strong-willed and hustling agent or the annoying agent, whichever one you like in the office, wanting to eagerly learn all the time.
Yes.
I was at open houses every weekend. If I had a baby, where my kids, whatever it took.
So
Like
no
my
excuses.
there's just
Like,
no excuses.
got it.
Love
And like
that.
very like militant. It also probably, I mean, it helped, but probably didn't help that I was also pregnant. So I couldn't really
Uh-huh.
do much anyways. Babies and business was like all I could do. There was no other distractions. I didn't want to go party while I'm
Right.
breastfeeding and pregnant. So
Yes.
I just used it as a time to really elevate and create really good relationships and like build myself.
That's amazing
Yeah.
because most people will step back from business, or from what we've known, a lot of women,
Yeah.
they step back from business when they're nursing or they have a baby,
Right.
because they're,
Yeah.
that's just their way of doing things. But again,
Mhm.
it's not for everybody. It seems like
Mhm.
you're somebody that, again, like you said, you just, no matter what, you don't take
Yeah.
no excuses.
I feel
basically.
like I feel like you're like the dictionary definition of like beautifully busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you
Like
go.
it's just beautifully busy always.
Yeah.
Love
I
it.
I do think I understand why women take a break.
Mhm.
For me though, I was opposite. Like I'd have to tell my clients like put me on do not disturb because I'm
Mhm.
breastfeeding through the night.
Mhm.
For 6 years I was breastfeeding, right?
wow.
So I'm like, put me on do not disturb. I will text you at all hours because if I see it, I'm going to respond to it. I don't want to wait till the next day. Who knows what's going to happen with one of my kids?
Of
Yes.
course.
And so I was working, like Anne Marie will tell you, like when we became partners, she's like, if I go back, one of the questions I wish I would have asked was, how many hours do you sleep a night?
Yes.
And like it was worse when I was breastfeeding. Now I sleep like 4 to 5.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
But
So it was like 1 hour.
yeah, it was like 2 hours at a
Yeah.
time.
Oh my
Right.
God.
But like my clients really respected it and they couldn't, and my kids got to see me in a working light and like they love to be a part of my business now.
Love
Wow,
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you as a mother, obviously you have four
Four
children.
sons, yeah.
Four
Wow,
sons.
4 sons.
So let's go backwards, right? Let's
Right.
go all the way to some of the beginnings of Angel, right? So
yes.
obviously you're in real estate, you're a
Mhm.
success, you're in Rodeo now, you're on this beautiful podcast with us. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
thank
here.
you.
Right.
So how did you start your real estate career? Let's go all the way to the beginning and what inspired it? I mean, maybe go even as further as that as how you were brought in your family.
So growing up, I grew up in East Cleveland. I'm a really proud
wow.
Cleveland
Oh my
girl.
gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
We got
Cleveland-
Ohio in the house then.
Oh,
right?
wait.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wait.
Io.
love it.
Is
Some
that a gang sign or what is
No,
that?
it's Ohio State.
I know.
Ohio to Beverly Hills. This
Yeah.
is amazing. We have to hear this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So growing up, originally, I was with my biological mother until I was 11. A lot of chaos, dysfunction, alcoholism. I'm sure there was beautiful memories in there at some point, but like, I don't know, when you go through trauma, you block things out.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm kind of still in that recovery phase of like wanting to learn and like bring back memories with therapy. But at 11, CPS came and took my sister and I away.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they had been in and out of our life for quite some time, but this was like the night that they would just of no return. And
And was this the getting taken away from your mom and your dad?
well, we didn't have our dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't have our
Okay.
father. We had boyfriends of my mom's. Like honestly,
Mhm.
there was one man particularly that I thought was my father. I had no
Got it.
idea.
Wow.
Oh.
Her fiance, and then, or at least that was what I remember of my perception. And then when we were taken away, what happens is like your other biological parent gets documentation to try to get you.
Mm.
And so I remember being outside my grandmother and my aunt's house, my mom's sister, and this tall man walks up, and I'm like, 11 years old, and he's like, "Is your grandmother home?" And I'm like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Your
Right.
father." And I like ran. I was like, "Rapist!" Like I thought he was gonna kidnap me.
Yeah,
I was like, "What do you
definitely.
mean?"
Yeah.
So originally, when we were taken away at 11, he did like, the heroic, like, come when I go to court, fight for like, visitation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And what I remember of it is like he just never showed up. So we'd have to
Mm.
drive so far away for him to sit there, for him to just not come.
And that's your biological dad?
My biological
Got
father.
it.
And so he was, I don't really know everything. He was in and out of prison since I was a baby. I
Okay.
think his first charge, if I remember correctly, was like vehicular homicide for
Oh my
like drinking and driving and accidentally killing his best friend.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
my
I think
word.
is the
Okay.
story I was told.
Mm-hmm.
And then, interestingly enough, like rewind right before I was taken away, I was like, we were in and out of living with my aunt and my grandmother's house
Mhm.
with my biological mom, anyways, because like her relationships were unstable.
Okay.
And there was these boys that lived across the street from us. And like they had friends come visit from West Virginia like every summer. And they were so cool. Taught us how to rollerblade, like so sweet. I was like 10
Yeah.
years old.
Mhm.
And I had a crush on one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I met their mother named Linda. And I remember she asked me, like, well, what's your name? And I'm like, I'm Angel. And my sister's like, I'm Heaven. And like, you don't really get Angel Heaven. She's like, do you know
Right.
who your father is? And I was like, no. And she's like, these are your brothers. And so like that's how I originally like
Oh my
got to
gosh.
know like who my older brothers were. I didn't see
Oh,
them again until I
wow.
was
I
teenagers.
mean, your biological brothers.
With a different mother, yeah. So half brothers.
But still, I mean, that's
Yeah.
who hears those news? Like,
Right.
imagine me
Yeah.
getting the
Right,
call.
right.
Oh, I'm your brother. I'm like, what?
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
So like that's how we kind of knew of like, but we
Okay.
didn't see them again. And then we were with my biological mom, and then taken away from her. And then by the grace of God, went with her sister, which is now my mom, my aunt,
Mhm.
now mom. And it was just a wild. I was already so wild, like I was
Yes.
already exposed to so much. So my first time I got a tattoo, I was 11 years old at a
Oh my
party.
gosh,
Okay.
Really?
My first
Wow.
time arrested, I was 11 years
Oh my
old, like
goodness.
fighting. Like in East
Yes.
Cleveland, like you're just taught like you don't disrespect anyone
Mm-hmm.
or you get beat up, right?
Got it.
Okay.
And then I moved to the suburbs where like they don't have the same principles and they just are
Okay.
like they'll like disrespect you. And so I'd be like, what? And I was like,
Right.
So that explains how you grew up very tough then, right? Like
Yeah.
you're very tough. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you're like that in your business as well? You're like very grounded on your business. You know exactly what you're
Yeah.
looking for. And
Even
it
though
sounds
you
like-
are,
Yeah.
I mean, because we've known you for many years, but we haven't heard this story. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you guys are probably all hearing this for the first time
Yeah.
as well. But it doesn't seem you're so happy, you're so,
Yeah.
and it seems like you went through so many different things in your,
Yeah.
at least in your upbringing when you were younger. I mean, a lot of things were taken away from you,
Mhm.
but you were able to hold yourself so strong. And I kind of want to know,
Right.
a question would be, how at such a young age did you keep yourself so strong, keep yourself like an angel that you are? Because wow, you went through a lot.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
kept you grounded?
Honestly, like, I don't think I was grounded
No.
at that time at all.
Okay,
I think it
okay,
was, like, a disaster of dysfunction and, like, spiraling downhill, like, getting in trouble,
Okay.
partying, drinking. However, since I was a little girl, I knew I was destined for greater than what I was dealt,
Okay.
and
hmm
so, knowing that and seeing all of the things I saw, like drugs and alcohol and violence and, like, all of that, I'm like, "I need to get out." And
Hmm.
so I remember knowing that so young, and so at 17, I emancipated myself,
Oh wow.
Okay, that's
with, like, my
powerful.
with my
Yeah,
parents'
that's
Yeah.
blessing,
huge. Okay.
and I joined the military, and I remember coming to my parents and saying, "Well, you can wait one more year, but I'll be 18, and who knows what will happen to me then," because like,
Yes.
a lot of my friends died from drugs, were teen
Wow.
moms,
Wow.
Okay.
in jail, like,
Yes.
and so
And at this point, had you had children yet?
no,
Okay,
I
so
Okay.
was
you're
17, I had no
17.
kids, a couple of my best friends had kids,
Okay.
Okay.
and I left for boot camp my junior, senior summer.
And was this to kind of like toughen yourself up from all the experience you had? I don't even know how to really say it, but
It was like a mix of like, I knew I needed to change the trajectory of my life, but what is the most honorable way to do it? And it was like,
Wow.
why not serve our country while we're
Hmm.
doing
right,
it?
right.
And so that's what I knew. And my older brother was a Marine. And
hmm
Okay.
so I had saw glimpses of his like, experience. And so he didn't let me do the Marines, which I wish he wouldn't have let me do the Army either. But
Okay.
then I decided to do the Army because I was like
Got it.
17. I wanted to be a badass. It was
Got
like,
Okay.
it.
yeah.
Yes, right.
And that changed my whole life. Going to boot camp, I rolled my eyes one time. It took one time.
Wow.
And like low
Okay.
crawled for like I think a mile, but it was probably like a half a mile, like
hmm
bleeding scabs. I didn't roll my eyes again.
Okay,
I went from
right,
being
right.
like this firecracker
Yeah.
fight you, like, because I always was in fight or flight mode, right?
hmm
Like,
Yeah.
and then I came back and I remember my teacher was the same teacher, Mrs. Wallace. And I came back like, yes, ma'am, no,
Oh
ma'am. And she's
wow.
like, what happened? I was
Oh
like,
wow.
boot camp.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So it was just
So
boot camp, or did you actually enroll
yeah, so
exactly?
I enrolled. I ended up serving for 8 years.
Oh
But
my
Wow.
if when you join as
goodness.
a junior, you do your boot camp junior, senior, summer, and then you graduate high school, and then you go back for job training.
Okay, got
Wow.
it.
And then at 20, I had, deployed for my first time to the Iraq. We closed on the Iraq border, and then we were in
Okay.
Kuwait and Bahrain.
Wow. So again, you're sitting here in Beverly Hills Rodeo Drive,
Yeah, it's so unreal.
wearing pink and your hair's so
Yeah.
beautiful and your smile and your energy. But
Yeah.
you're telling me that you were 20 years old and you are on the other side of the world
Hmm.
hmm
in Afghanistan. Where again?
Like the Kuwait and
Okay.
then we
Kuwait.
closed on the Iraq border in
Oh
2011,
yes.
2012.
Was
Yeah.
that like
Wow.
a war going on at that time?
Yeah, we were pulling out of Iraq at that time.
Wow.
And so we were closing on the border.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of insight of like your experience there, like what it did to you, like your
Yeah.
mindset of it all?
To be honest, it did a lot of things. Number one, I don't care how much war or war you don't see, like physical violence, being away from home at such a young age is like a PTSD experience.
Okay.
Being in a country where you don't speak the language and where the news channels over here make you believe that everyone over there is a terrorist before you go over there,
Mhm.
and that's how you think.
Mm.
And them thinking that about you,
Yeah.
about you,
Well, like, yeah, for sure.
right?
And then going over there, I learned like my biggest lesson was I didn't own a TV for a long time after that
Mhm.
because Muslim culture was just so beautiful. The people
Okay.
that I met were so loving. It opened up my world to realizing that like the propaganda that they even fed back then was so hateful
Mhm.
and it wasn't true. And I'm a Christian. I say it loose. I'm a spiritual Christian.
Yes.
But like I always have believed in God. And so when they're feeding you this and you go over there so young and immature, you're almost ready to like hate people,
Mm.
right? Like you're
Right.
thinking
Mhm.
like everyone is responsible. And I learned that that's just not true. And it's a very small percentage of people that are just doing bad. And that's in
Right.
everything.
It's always the small group that ruins it for everybody
Yeah.
else.
And so that was like one of my biggest takeaways. I didn't want to watch
Wow.
TV when I got back. Like
Okay.
I got to see people from all over the world deployed in one place. I was
Mhm.
even stationed when like, served with sometime with like the Israeli military. And so it was just a cultural experience for me.
Okay.
Scary nonetheless.
Mhm.
I think a few days after we left Bahrain, there was like an attempt to like bring in an explosive on the base,
Wow.
so it was like scary nonetheless, but um it really opened my eyes and changed my whole life. I like
Wow.
didn't even come back to Cleveland after that. I had my
Okay.
best friend move my stuff to Ohio State campus.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um to just get away and start over. And that was my first step out of Ohio.
Wow. And
Wow.
you're saying like this propaganda, it
Yeah.
was American propaganda?
Yeah, like American news outlets. It
Right.
was like very hateful. It was like, I understand like everything that happened, and I understand that there's terrorists, and rightfully, you know, I know many that have lost their lives.
Mhm.
And I love my fellow veterans and like
Yes.
the heroes. But it made it seem like the entire country was that.
Wow.
Wow.
Like the entire Middle East
Right.
was that.
Right.
And then to get welcomed with open arms from so many, and to see how loving and kind and humble they were and hardworking, it was like it really threw me for a loop. And then also to see other things that like our military was doing that, you know, they don't talk about, you
Of
know, like
course.
leaving the base and like, you know, I'm probably gonna get like so much hate for this, but the truth, like leaving the
Please.
base and like raping women and like
Yeah.
hurting people.
Right.
And we don't talk about that side
Of
of it.
course.
Or like,
Yeah.
you know, us being sexually assaulted by our own,
Wow.
you know,
Of
battle
course.
buddies.
Oh my
So
gosh.
a lot of my trauma wasn't even from war. It was more from my experience being a woman in the military.
Well, that's
Wow.
insane. And you know what? I feel like we can all connect with that because the fact is, America is built on certain cultures, but also the fact of media. Media
Yeah.
can throw so many things that don't even exist
Yeah.
and making it a reality to no matter where you're at. So, like you said,
Yeah.
we made it seem like they're the whole country is like a
Yeah.
mess,
Like the entire region.
like the entire region. Whereas you're
Mhm.
meeting people personally, and you're like, hey, these people are actually really
Yeah.
nice people. But the media always throws things so much out of
Yeah.
proportion.
Yes.
But to come out of that the way you are right now, like you came out victorious, and to understand how things you were able to separate things and understand,
Yeah.
all right, well, that's not really true. But so from when you came back, did you end up? I'm gonna say yes. I'm honestly believing that you came out and discharged honorably, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a veteran, right?
Yeah, and I was a sergeant very young at 20 years old. So I
Wow.
was promoted overseas actually.
Really?
Yeah.
At
So
20, wow.
yeah, at the certain period I was a stellar soldier. At some point, I
Yes.
lost a lot of like motivation when I was in the reserves because
Mhm.
I was facing a lot of health issues through like getting Crohn's disease and amoebiasis. They say was linked to my deployment in the Middle East that went unnoticed. And so, and I was seeking help from a lot of leadership. And I had, you know, Sergeant Racone, I remember in my here when I was getting out in 2016, he was like the one leader that really like fought for me.
Okay.
But like the way I was just treated as being a woman sometimes, like the disrespect, the
Mhm.
sexual harassment,
Yes.
like eventually you're just unmotivated to serve. And
Right.
also I started evolving my mind a lot. I started learning about The Secret. When I got back from
Yes.
deployment,
Uh-huh.
I lived with a group of women in college that were so much more elevated. They were like
Love it.
vegan. Some of them were vegan and
Yes.
eating zucchini noodles. And I didn't even know what
Okay.
that was.
Right. Yeah.
And like, you can't be like, your mind can't just
Yeah.
like, you know, assemble at
Yeah.
a certain point,
Yeah.
you know? But I
So-
was honorably discharged.
Got
Okay,
it, of
okay.
course.
And since we're still on this topic, just I know you were saying, just rewinding a little bit, you know, there's more of the abuse or whatever you kind of went through in your life was a lot of it was being, you know, in the army.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Childhood and army. Yeah.
right. And so there was like abandonment, but then there's also like abuse when in
Mhm.
your later years. So again, sitting here with you today, you're just such an amazing, happy, there for people, loving. Like I could say so many different things about you.
Bestie.
Bestie. But again, how did you overcome these hard times in your life when you're going through so much and you're giving so much too?
Yeah.
Because you're obviously in the army, you're being there for other people, for a country actually,
Yeah.
and you're being harassed literally.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's your own country. So like, how were you able to overcome these hard times in your life? Because I know this could help people with your answer.
Yeah. So first and foremost, what I learned later in life is God.
Okay.
And
Yes.
and people I didn't even realize at the time that were so even small at the time that poured into me and believed in me.
Mhm.
Like little things, you know, like just like defending me from being expelled from school because they believed I was so intelligent, you know. Just so, like teachers that were like along my path. My parents, like my aunt and my grandmother that ended up becoming my parents and adopting me, like 1000% changed my entire life.
Got it.
But my abuse started when I was young, like
Mhm.
sexual trauma, physical
Mhm.
abuse.
Yes.
And so I believe I built a lot of resilience to it so
Got it.
young. So when I was
Okay.
facing it again in the military, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this before. I've been here before. So I really like sought after like faith.
Mhm.
And then in my faith journey, in my spiritual journey, I believe, you know, don't hang me Christians. I
Mhm.
believe in the universe as well. And I believe in
Yes.
manifestation of my own
Same.
thoughts. I believe that
Yes.
God created the universe though. So he's
Yes.
my God, you know? And so I don't think that they have to be mutually exclusive. And I
Mhm.
think that if you align your manifestations with his purpose for you, it's a beautiful combination.
Oh,
So
God,
I
amazing.
use the
Powerful.
word Christian very loosely. I believe it's
Yes.
truly what it is to be like Christ, is what
Right.
I believe. Nothing else
Yes.
that's man made
Love
is
that.
my thought. And so when I was finding him in my journey, or he found me in my journey and put people in my life, I remember I didn't believe in him because I'm like, if you're really real, why would you let me go through this? You
Mhm.
know, like
Mhm.
why? I'm your daughter. Like this is what
Yes.
what do you
Right.
do as a father?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And like I
Exactly.
remember one time I had like a vision, and like in this prophetic vision that I had, he was a part of even memories I didn't remember, but he was there every single time. They were like
Wow.
traumatic memories, and I just remember he was standing next to me in them.
Wow.
And he was telling me that my pain was going to turn into purpose and I was going to help people.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so I always, well, even through like, we go through ebbs and flows.
Of
Like
course.
in college, of course, I still party.
Hmm.
We're all still learning how to be better humans every day.
Right.
But I always knew that my purpose was to inspire as many people in this world, and whatever I decided to do as a career, that I was going to be people first, because I didn't
Wow.
come through all of this to not help others,
Got it.
So that's like my soft spot.
And going
Okay.
through everything you went through, how did you just land? Well, right after your, serving the army, what was the next thing that you did? Considering the
Yeah.
fact, I'm sure you didn't go right into real estate, or maybe you
No,
did.
I
But
didn't.
what was in that gap?
So I moved to Ohio State campus. I did not go to Ohio State, but I was on campus. I wanted to collect my checks from school.
Okay.
I was a pre-nursing student. I worked at the
Mm.
Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Oh, beautiful.
And I met this beautiful woman named Sophia, and her energy and her women empowerment and the way that she spoke into women, the light that she shared in this world was so phenomenal, especially
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
campus. Even the
Hmm.
word, even the songs she would create were so magical. And so was moving to LA, and I had never been to California. And I was like,
Wow.
6 weeks before she left, I was like, you can't leave me. I'm coming with you. And
Oh
I
my
like
God.
decided to jump on this bandwagon to
What?
move to Los Angeles.
Wow.
She's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I have no idea, but like we're gonna figure it out. Um,
Amazing.
and we moved here. Unfortunately, like literally the person we were supposed to live with decided that we couldn't live with them as soon as we crossed over state lines.
Wow. Of
No.
course.
Mind you, I got in a motorcycle accident at my going away party. So I was in the hospital for like a small fracture in my skull and like bleeding and swelling.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
made them discharge me because I wasn't missing my moving date. Like I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. And so we ended up like, essentially homeless, moving to California in our cars. And then we like Airbnb'd and stayed places and bounced around, and then like eventually ran out of money, and like my great credit and all the money I saved, because I was really responsible in that
Right.
world. Materialistic things were really important to me. Saving money, especially with my background of coming from nothing, was like my car was so important. My like
Hmm.
savings and cushion and having credit was so important. And I lost it all.
Oh
And
wow.
so I remember in that vulnerable place, I would meet, now looking back, I think they were all sugar daddies. I would meet men that were very successful, and I was in a vulnerable place, so it makes sense.
Right.
And I would ask them, like, well, what do you do and how are you so successful?
Hmm.
And they're like, I'm a real estate investor. And I'm
Okay.
like,
Mm.
well, I don't want to be a sugar baby. I
Yeah.
don't want you to take care of me.
Right.
How do I become a real estate
Yeah.
investor? And they would tell me, like, get your license and become an agent, and then take all the money that you make and invest it into properties.
Right.
Amazing.
And I was like, done. So then I signed up
Okay.
for Pepperdine University to finish school. I was at Glendale Community College. I went to
Okay.
Pepperdine, graduated with my BSM and got my license. And I pretty much worked for someone making enough money to pay for like barely my food and my gas for the day, because I eat a
Wow.
lot.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Same.
yeah. And I was just like, for me, it was kind of like an internship, but I felt like every time I'd pray and I would meet these men, it was like a sign from God, like like don't look at who they are, and like take what they're doing. And
Right.
so and then I also was gravitated towards it because I never had a stable home,
Wow.
and so to help people,
Yes.
and I never had generational wealth, to be able to like give it to my children
Mhm.
through
Mhm.
real estate is like a dream.
But
Right.
you're like a perfect example of like, guys, like she's like fallen and then gets right back up.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
you're always learning from those little mistakes. And a lot of it, unfortunately, wasn't really a mistake that you had. It just was part of the original destiny that was created with you, with all the problems you had
Yeah.
in Ohio and the family. But you've like changed completely the way the universe works around you. Like you
Yeah.
even have been reading The Secret, and now I'm sure
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
so involved in good energy, and you surround yourself with really good
Yeah.
people. Let's be real.
I do.
I don't think I've ever met one person around you that's ever been like, that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And that's what changed about you. You have taken every little problem, every little mistake, and converted it into something so much more magical that
Yeah.
it even transformed you. You're like just glowing.
Right,
And it's so important. And guys, like just like what Angel's doing, like she is actually learning from those little problems she's ran into, which I feel like you said, God was you're like, where is he?
Yeah.
Well, he was there and he's
Mhm.
showing you how to be better, but
Mhm.
you have to learn and you
Yeah.
have to fall and you have to kind of grow from it.
Right.
Kind of
And
like
you
a
have to
tree.
you have to listen because like how I got brought to Jesus was I'll never forget there was this girl named Jasmine. She was doing a open mic night with one of my best friends, Anne, at the time in college. And my girlfriends in college were so amazing. They taught me so much. And her energy was so contagious that I wanted to see her again. So the next time I was invited, it was like, hey, do you want to go to the bar for open mic night? And Jasmine's gonna be there. I'm like, say
Right.
less. Here I
Okay,
come.
okay, yes.
We like are drinking, pre-gaming, little mini skirts on.
Yes.
We show up and it's a barn and it's worship. But they
Oh,
already
wow.
saw us pull in. So I had to
No
go
way.
inside
barn
and
and
I'm
worship.
like, oh my,
Oh,
I'm like ready to
wow.
go out. I
Yeah.
don't even know what I was wearing, but it was definitely not appropriate for a
Mhm.
barn and worship.
Pre-game.
And I didn't believe in God then,
Yeah.
but like Jasmine pulled me aside after and was like, God gave me a message about you. And he told me that you're going to change lives in the masses and that there's a light around you. And she spoke this word to me. And that's when I started saying, well, if there is a God, why is he talking about me?
Yeah.
Mhm,
And what
mhm.
am I supposed to do in this world?
Mhm.
And how am I supposed to
Right.
show up? Because it wasn't like how I was brought in,
Yes.
And I don't blame anyone. Like my biological mom and I have a decent relationship. I love her so much. She just wasn't healed. She didn't have the
Mhm.
tools. And so
Right.
she wasn't ready to
Mhm.
do what I'm doing with my kids now. But
Yes.
so I've forgiven. And I think that that is like the most important to be able to like move on
Wow.
in your journey is
Powerful.
to truly forgive.
Right.
And like the hardships don't stop.
Yeah.
I'm co-parenting right now with my ex-husband. Well, we were
Okay.
never married, but my kid's father,
Mhm.
and forgiveness in that has taken so much,
Wow. Yes.
but
That's
like
powerful.
to be able to truly step into your purpose, like and shine and glow, I feel like who you surround yourself with and how
Mhm.
they think and how they talk and what they
Yes.
speak,
Yes.
what they eat, like, everything and how they speak life into you or not is going to elevate you. And then having a heart of gold takes like forgiveness and everything.
Wow,
Wow.
that is so
That's
powerful.
great.
And I know
Yeah.
you're saying definitely that it's, God that has also been there for you. This is kind of what's got you through a lot of these tough times. But also just like hearing your story, I also do feel that, and we asked this question to many of our guests, like who got you to be to this level? And a lot of them are like my sister, my mom, my brother. I feel like, yes, it's God, but I also feel like it's yourself in this
Yeah.
story that you're able to pull yourself out of certain situations
Yeah.
and just kind of keep going,
Yeah.
without, again, a father figure, without a mother figure, even though you guys still have a great relationship. You do have your aunt, you do have your grandma, which is beautiful, but still in the very end, I see you just being this powerful person that can pull yourself
Yeah.
out of tough situations. And would you agree with that as well?
100%. Honestly,
Okay.
like when I'm going through things, I isolate
Mhm.
and not isolate because like I don't have people I can lean on. I absolutely can, but it gets very noisy, right? Like, so every season that I face darkness, I isolate and I pray and I meditate and I lean into like things that really give me clarity, yoga, working out, going to church, reading, audiobooks, cold plunges, like all the
Mhm.
crazy LA things. All my
Wow.
Cleveland friends are probably
Yes.
watching, like,
Right.
she's so LA right now.
Right. Yeah.
But I've always isolated because no one else knows your journey and where you're at and where you're going besides you and whoever you believe in, whether
Right.
it's the universe, whether it's God, whether you're co-creating with both, right?
Yes.
Allah, whoever, like I
Right.
support everyone in what they
Yes.
believe,
Yes. Yes.
but
Yes.
I isolate so I can hear and truly get clarity on what I'm supposed to do next because it's always a pivot. It's always like, okay, what is this supposed to slingshot me to?
Yes.
And so I lean on myself. And so it's really interesting when you enter into seasons and you're kind of forced to lean on other people, which is a situation I'm in right now.
Okay.
You're kind of forced to lean on other people because I'm like, I'm used to just doing this by myself. But I do think that the strength always comes from inside.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
that's a
beautiful
great
because
story.
I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of our audience and
Yeah.
sometimes even myself, you forget that you
Especially
can,
him.
right? Especially me. You forget that you can lean on yourself when you really can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course, you
Yeah.
have your God, you have the universe,
But
but
you're so powerful. It's
Mhm.
like if you really think about how
Yes.
amazing you are,
Right.
how much every one of us have gone through,
Yes.
what we're doing today, because we're living a dream life.
Ab-
Yeah.
On our
absolutely.
worst days, someone prayed
Right.
to
Yeah.
like be here.
Yes.
And it's like we're so powerful and it's just our
Gosh.
thoughts. So how I
Right.
speak to myself every day is so
Okay.
important. I like affirmations every
Right.
day. showing up and eating right every day, working out every day,
Right.
but then when you like realize like, and it's not an ego thing, but it's like, I'm a badass. Like I'm a
Right.
beast.
I
I'm
love
not like
this.
other people.
Yes.
I'm a like, let's
Exactly.
go.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
like, and
Mhm.
you start feeling that it's like, it brings out this like external power,
Powerful.
I
Yeah,
love that.
like
And oh,
you
go
you
ahead.
basically
Yeah.
what I really want to end on that subject at least is that you can really do it on your own. You really
Right.
can. You just have to pull it out of yourself, just like you
Yeah.
just said. Know you're a badass. Know you can do this. But
Mhm.
I feel like most of the population
Mhm.
struggles with that so much. Like I just said, I'm one of those people sometimes.
Yeah.
But really, when you do bet on yourself,
Yeah.
it's when sometimes you win the most. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I see that in you so much, and that's why I had to really cover that subject because again,
Mhm.
a lot of our guests on the show, and it's amazing because sometimes they do bet on their mom and dad, or they do bet on their brothers and sisters, or whoever it may be, and that's still powerful as well because
Mhm.
our guests are usually very
Yeah.
powerful people. But again, I also believe when you do it on your own, it's
Yeah.
just another level.
For me, it's like me versus me.
Mhm.
Every single day.
Yes.
I'm like, did I do better than yesterday? And I'm going to do better today,
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's like beast mode.
Yes.
And everyone I surround myself with talks like that. So
Yeah.
they're like, you're a beast. You're not like everyone
Yes,
else. Like,
right.
you're amazing.
I
You're
said that
exceptional.
right before you walked through this door.
Yeah.
We were reading our cards, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's a beast!" And,
Yeah.
and you're saying that now, so
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely are. Some of those
Yeah.
people who are saying that as well.
And to expand on it, so obviously you got into real estate as well. So let's talk about the Selling LA Luxury brand.
Yeah.
So how did you get inspired to create it? Was it your idea? Did somebody just the rock fell on your head? And you're like, hey, thank you for the message.
Oh, that's a good one. So Anne Marie is my business partner.
Okay.
I always jokingly say she was my best close.
Okay.
She's been in the business now 18 years.
And Anne Marie, we love you.
Yes,
Yeah,
we love you.
love
Abby.
you
Right,
so
we love
much.
you.
You're
Shout
the
out,
opposite.
shout
No,
out.
what is it that you always say? You're the
Yin and
yin
yang.
and yang.
Oh,
so
Just
yin
like us
and
two.
yang.
she's
Yeah.
my better half in
There
business.
you
And
go.
it's really like a marriage, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so she's obviously an OG veteran, I call her.
Yes.
And I was like this new agent, and I wanted to see who showed up every day. We created accountability groups. I created like a real
Amazing.
estate
Wow.
coffee talk.
Mhm.
Her and my girlfriend Andrea would be like, well, what do you want me to talk about? I'm like, I'll write all the key points because I need to learn.
Yeah.
So I'll research the
Powerful.
topics, and I'll just tell you what your part is.
Mhm.
Like,
Wow.
and then I would be like, let me do your open houses. And then she had a client one time, and they wanted to write. She does not do dual agency. We don't
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
And so she said, Angel, represent them. They didn't listen to me. Love you, Zach. And for
Right,
a few
right.
properties, he's like one of my favorite clients.
Okay.
But he specifically wanted to own a property on Geneva in
Mhm.
Glendale. And we didn't get a few, or he didn't want to write on one, lost one, whatever. And I door knocked. I delivered baskets to Orange County owners, like you name it, until we ended up like closing on a property in Geneva.
Wow.
And at that point, Emery's like, who are you?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I'm over here like, who are you? I'm so grateful to be in your
Yeah,
presence,
yeah.
She's completely opposite than me in
Yeah.
every way except motherhood, work ethic, integrity.
Did you say accept?
Yeah, except opposite.
Oh,
Except.
opposite. Oh,
Like that's
okay.
where we align.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah. So we came together as partners and we brainstormed over it. These are like the areas that Amory doesn't really care about. It's like the
Okay.
branding. She was a part of the part of
Got
it, and
it.
we like co-created it, but she cares more about like checks deposited, analytical, contract
Yes,
signed, being
right.
legally correct. And
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, like big vision, like let's create this
Yes, right.
umbrella, like, so we co-created it together, but I
Amazing.
think I was more of like the driving force of like,
You're like the risk taker, huh?
yeah, I'm like, we got to do this. We're going to
Right.
go all in. Like, we're
Yes.
going to create a brand for the future,
Yes.
right? Like, what's the future going to be? And the
Mhm.
future was always luxury for us.
There you
We'll
go.
do everything. We'll take anyone, and we love everyone.
Mhm.
But I was like, no, I told her years ago when we first became partners, I said, I want to be in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's where I want to be a
love that.
realtor. And
I
I'm
love
willing to
that.
take whatever experience I need to get to be there.
Mhm.
And because Beverly Hills agents are really good.
Right.
And you have to
right.
know your stuff.
Yes, you do.
And
Definitely.
so selling LA Luxury is an umbrella. Like we have, managing LA Luxury to create a property management company, hopefully
Powerful.
next year.
Okay, amazing.
And then we have
Which is
lease-
what's needed.
Yeah,
you
we
know.
have leasing LA Luxury. We have coaching LA Luxury because I
Amazing.
want to start doing coaching.
Yes.
So we created an umbrella with like everything, developing LA Luxury because we want to
Love
start
it.
we just closed on our first flip with a
Okay.
team. And so
Congrats.
we
Congrats.
eventually want to get into development. So when we thought of it, it was like, what is the umbrella to like expand and take over as an empire?
Yes.
that.
And so that was always like a future goal.
Mhm.
And I love that. And it's like, after you open it, like let's be real, 100 million plus in sales. Like,
Right.
that's
I was
Well,
about to
almost
say.
100 million.
Yes.
Almost 100.
Right,
we're
right.
manifesting. It's
Yes.
100
Right,
million.
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we have to
Very
manifest.
close though.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the real estate part, you're so powerful. You guys are, controlling the Rodeo Realty, the Beverly Hills, the LA luxury, literally. But a little bit more about you also. You're doing all this, but you're a single mother, correct?
Yeah, well, I don't know technically what that term means, but yes, I'm single and I'm a mother.
Okay, yeah.
And
It sounds complicated.
yeah, so
Can you
we
talk to us a
yeah.
little bit about like, your children
Yeah,
and
they're
you being,
amazing.
like you have Ford, like you said,
Hmm.
but how has the journey been? Has it always been this way where you've raised them by yourself? Not by
No,
yourself, but in a
no. So luckily, like their dad is an amazing father.
love it.
And I'll always honor him for being a great
Amazing.
dad. His
Amazing.
family is incredible. Like kiss the ground they
Yes.
walk on because they're perfect. Like they're
Mhm.
all of them, especially the women. They really taught me how to be good mothers.
Yes.
However, and they're the Vartanian brothers. Go follow them.
There you go. Follow.
But the oldest is 7 and my youngest just turned 2. So and then
Okay.
we have a 5.5 and gonna be 4 on
Oh my
Saturday.
God,
Wow.
beautiful.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Oh my
happy
goodness,
birthday.
tomorrow.
Oh my God, happy birthday.
But no, so his family was always his mother was always super supportive, his sister-in-law, of helping us. But I didn't really have like full-time help with them until my
Mhm.
third. Luciana was 18 months and I was pregnant with my fourth.
Oh, wow.
So like I remember when Anne Marie and I were launching a team in our first home, we had a separated garage. And so I converted the garage into a team office and I had our team report there.
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
I'm like, how am I going to manage 3 kids being pregnant, running a
Yes.
team, like, but I'm like, whatever it takes. We
Right.
actually started in the baby room while it was being
Wow.
remodeled.
But that's genius that you were
And
able to
then,
make your team go there so you guys can still be
yeah,
a family working together.
because for me, it was like, if you want to work with me, being a mom is always at the forefront, right?
Hmm.
So, and I welcome everyone else's kids too. Like
Mhm.
we are a
That's
community,
great.
we're a
Right.
family, and not everyone has. Now I have an amazing village. We
Mhm.
have Miss Norma, we have Miss Ross, we have Miss Chris, we have
Oh,
Nanzuzo
wow.
that just came from South Africa in June
Wow.
that lives with us now. And so we have a huge village. So with that being said, my kids are blessed enough to go to Sierra Canyon. Like they got into the best school. That was always like a dream.
Right.
Wow.
And we have an amazing village. We have a family car, like things that like I didn't even like. I knew I was
Right.
destined for greater as a kid, but I didn't know
Yes.
that I'd be living a movie.
Yes.
And
Because these
so,
are like places where movie stars has their kids go to school.
yes,
Literally.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
So saying these names, I'm like, oh
my
my gosh.
kids are in. I won't even say what they're in
Mhm.
school. It's some really large, like probably
Right.
one of the best, like biggest celebrities in their class. They don't
Yes.
know it because we don't
Right.
treat them any
Of
different,
course.
Right.
and I don't want them to know that they're, their parents and their moms and dads are celebrities. But
Yes.
it was a dream.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
so we have a beautiful home. And they're young. And so I
Mhm.
asked a lot of people when they were divorcing, like that have older kids, like Anne Marie, I'm like,
Mhm.
what do you regret? And she's like, making my kids go to 2 homes.
Mm.
And so I'm like, well, what can I do? And she's like, and a few people said this. She's like, disrupt you and him, don't disrupt them. And so our kids have a home and they have all of our support there, everyone, and then we have our days there. So I have my days with them, and he's not there, and he has his days with them, and I'm not there.
Wow.
I love
Wow.
that.
Yeah,
And we were doing that too. Remember with
Mhm.
my ex, because I have 2. Obviously, my kids are older.
yeah.
One just
Mhm.
turned
Mhm.
18 literally a couple days ago, and
Oh,
now they're both
yay.
adults
Right.
now.
Yeah.
They're
Yes. Adults
crazy. I
now.
don't know how
Adults
the time
now.
flew.
It
Yeah.
goes so
Right.
My
fast,
daughter's in
right?
Washington now. It's crazy, but in the beginning, we were actually sharing them half days, and like just like Anne Marie
Yeah.
said, it was just so distorted that
Yeah.
the kids were getting confused. We even had to go through psychological problems and
Yeah.
Mhm.
see psychologists. It was like crazy until we decided. Even Mike was involved already, where we separated them. Where I had them for 1 week, another week. I know we talked about it behind the scenes, like, oh, that's too much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we were doing that for a while, and eventually it came to the point where we had full custody because unfortunately she wasn't able to sustain having them
Yeah.
permanently. So we ended up having full custody, and they stayed with us
Yeah.
pretty much forever at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But
So
your
I-
idea
yeah.
of keeping them in the household is just a really
Mhm.
amazing idea.
Yeah.
That is great.
I don't want
Yeah.
them like to feel like they don't have stability. And so now like they're like, Mommy, is it Mama's Day or Papa's Day?
Mhm.
And like it was actually yesterday. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. It was
Yeah,
yesterday.
no,
So
yeah.
usually I would come home after bedtime,
Mhm.
most, so I'd wake up with them so in the mornings.
Yes.
However, I thought with time it would be easier to be harmonious. And like, I think there's still some healing to do.
Of
And
course.
so I don't want my kids to feel that negative energy. So I was like, hey, listen, this is not working and it's not getting better.
Mhm.
We really can't be here on each other's days. So you need to get your own place. I need to get my own place. And like, separate. So that means on Wednesdays after drop off, like I don't see them till Friday mornings. I video them at night and in the mornings, and that just started yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is
Okay.
fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Thank you for sharing that
How are
with
Yeah.
you
us.
really taking it? Like being, even though it's fresh, but
It's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. They videoed me last night and it was okay. But this morning on the way to school, my 3-year-old that's gonna be 4 tomorrow was crying, He's
mm,
like, they're all like, where are you? Did you buy a new house? Like, I'm like,
Wow.
it's
Big
Papa's day. He
questions.
deserves time with you. I always make it like Papa deserves quality. Like, they know we're separated. They know
Right.
that we're friends. They know that we are not lovers.
Yes.
I didn't want them to think that this is what love looks like because
okay.
it's not healthy.
Yes.
And so, and I try to be like the harmonious one, but there's only so much you can do,
Of
Yeah.
right?
course. Of
And
course.
so, and honestly, in their culture, this is just not normal. You
Mm,
stay married, like you figure it out. Whether you're
okay.
unhappy or not, you stay for the kids. And for
Yes.
me, like my kids deserve a happy mom because then they're thriving because of it.
Exactly.
So it was hard this morning. It was very also weird to wake up and all my stuff was in the same places and like no one broke anything and it
Uh-huh.
was quiet.
Oh
I was
my
like, what is
God.
happening? I'm like used to
Right.
like screaming, crying,
Yeah.
yelling, jumping on me, like little footsteps. So I think it's and I slept for more than 4 hours for like 5 hours for the first time. It was weird.
Wow.
So like it's gonna take some adjustments. I know it's like what
Definitely.
we need to do right now.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'm so grateful for the father that he is and like what he
Yes.
provides for our kids. Like
Right.
he takes care of them fully, like
Right.
financially, and he does his
Amazing.
part and he loves
Amazing.
them more than life itself,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all like coming from not having a father, that is all I can ask for,
Right,
Wow.
you
right.
know?
And obviously you do as well. That brings me to my next question. It seems like the balance at home, it seems like you guys kind of got this right, or as much as you can, because it's going to be hard
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
perfect. But how do you balance both that and also work at the same time? Because you are a
Yeah.
powerhouse. Again, you are coming into this office. You're driving 2 hours sometimes to get to your
Yeah.
office. Just doing so much. Again, getting close to $100 million in
Right.
sales. It's just
Yeah.
so much work that you're doing, and that takes so much balance between family, kids, and work. And maybe you can give us some advice on that in the audience.
Live by a schedule. Like I wake up, some seasons I wake up at 3:33, others like 4 o'clock. Sometimes 4:30, but um I was waking up at 6 and it wasn't enough, and then I was waking up
Mm-hmm.
at 5 and it wasn't enough, and
Right,
then 4, and so
right.
and my kids started acclimating to when I would wake up because they would,
Mm-hmm.
and they just know, and
Mm-hmm.
so and then I had to readjust my schedule. I was, waking up at 4, getting my whole routine in, and then being at the gym by 5, coming back, trying to get them ready, and I
Mm-hmm.
realized like that doesn't work for a mom. Like I need to like it was stressful. I would get upset. We were
Mm-hmm.
always late. So I restructured everything in our home
Okay.
recently, like
Mm-hmm.
probably 2 months ago.
Okay.
And so now I still wake up the same, but I do all my things I need to do. I do my emails, I do my meditation, my affirmations, and then we have, a game every morning where the Vartani brothers versus mommy, who can get dressed first,
Oh
head to
my
toe, and
God.
get ready for
I
breakfast.
love
And so
this.
they work together, they help the baby, they help each other.
Wow.
They're learning how to be like, a team. And they're usually ready by 5:30, 6 o'clock at the
Wow.
latest. And then
Wow.
we spend time together. We have breakfast, we play. Then so our motto in our home is responsibilities before luxuries. So you
Okay.
handle your
Okay.
responsibilities and then you can have fun. So making that change and like changing my schedule has allowed us to like have an enjoyable process. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have rules and regulations and standard
Okay.
procedures in our
Yes.
home.
Cool.
As it
Cool.
should be.
And, like
As you should.
contracts, like all my
Yeah.
like my 2 oldest have like read them back to me.
No
So like
way.
there's a set rules and there's set consequences. 1, 2, and 3. There's no arguing anymore. You
Mm-hmm.
know what the consequences, you know what our house rules are and our standards. One of my like mentors
Love
and
it.
coaches actually told me to do this. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna run over you if they don't know the
Mm-hmm.
standards and procedures. Like what are your
Right.
standards of your house? And so and especially when you have so many different people, like, we have our village and then we have their dad. So I'm like, we all have to adopt this. So it's hung
Got
in
it.
every wall in the house. And
Wow.
so, and one of the rules is that they have to be out of the house at 7:45 or they
Wow.
get a consequence,
Okay.
which
Okay.
means like, because they wake up at 5, that's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of time to have
Oh
breakfast,
yeah.
get ready, and still
Right.
play and get to
Yes.
school on time.
Of course.
Yes.
And so it's like a machine
That's
now at this point.
amazing.
And
Oh
then the
my
same thing at
gosh.
night. They have a routine and like
Mm-hmm.
they have to be sleeping by 7:45. We start bedtime routine at 7. They need to be sleeping by 7:45.
Wow,
Wow, I
that's
love
amazing.
this.
Most adults, most business people don't even have this.
Yeah.
And your sons are literally taking this on full force. And I
Yeah.
could say that I've seen this
Yeah.
on your social media pages
Yeah.
live. So I've seen this actually happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the structures that you
Yeah.
have with them is just amazing. You see them happy. You see them because, like you said, they have that playtime, but you also see them neatly dressed and,
Yeah.
so many different things that are doing that. Again, most adults are not even taking this on, and it's
But I
amazing.
let them be kids.
Right.
Like they dress themselves in crazy stuff sometimes.
Uh-huh,
I'm like,
uh-huh.
why are we wearing that? So I
There
let
you
them be
go.
kids. I let them get dirty,
Yeah.
germs, run
There you
around,
go.
be crazy.
Right.
But responsibilities over luxuries,
Mhm.
and everyone, and because like it was a period where it was like resistance. Like sometimes it would be this consequence, sometimes it was this. I was like getting angry, yelling. I'm like, that's not me.
Mhm.
And so once my friend, that was mentoring me and like coaching me, that has older kids, that also helps other people in their lives to be structured like this, told me, he's like, everyone has to buy into the plan.
Right.
And then
Very
we had a
true.
house meeting with all of us,
Yes.
including their dad. What are the rules? Here's what we're going to do. Can you repeat them after me? What are the consequences?
Wow.
Tape
Wow.
them up. So now, like, you'll hear my nannies or like Nani, like Nanzuzo, like repeating, like, boys, what is our rule? Like, responsibilities before luxuries. You
Wow.
already know what it is.
Amazing.
I don't even have to tell you.
Right.
And so everyone plays a part.
I
And
love
their
that.
consequences are fun because, like, if they get consequences, they increase each time, but there are really a lot of chores in the house, like
Mhm.
picking up dog poop and
Right.
like doing dishes.
Yes.
And so
I
I'm
love
like,
it. You're like the boss mommy everybody should have had. Like I
Right.
should have had a boss mommy.
No,
But
yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
a boss mommy.
For real.
My
Yeah.
mom
for
did.
real.
She was like, "Here's food," and she did everything for me. But
Yeah.
and I'm
but-
still in Beverly Hills, but still.
Yeah, yeah. But at
But-
the same time, he moved out when he was like 22. So
but
that's
how
just
many
like-
kids did your
like-
mom have? Because
Right.
with 4, they all have to play a role. Like,
yeah, it was
it's just,
4. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just different.
yeah,
But also a question that I have for you is recently, I would say recently, you went through a really major transformation with yourself as well.
yes,
You have always been the same person in our eyes, but
yeah,
you went through a transformation when it comes to your fitness.
I think we're part of it too.
yeah.
We might have been in it.
Yeah.
when it comes to your
I
fitness.
think I met you guys like right after. Was it
No,
right
it was right
before?
before.
It was right
Right
before.
before. Yeah.
I think we even had a meeting with one of our clients, and it was like, "Oh no, you had just got stuff
Maybe
done."
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I was coming to meetings with like not able to sit on chairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It was a mess.
Oh my gosh. And if we could talk about this,
Yeah.
because it's something that's so inspiring to me, and I believe it'll be so inspiring
Yeah.
to the audience as well.
Yeah.
But you really went through a transformation when it comes to your fitness, to the way you eat, to the way you hold yourself, to the way
Yeah.
again, you've always been an amazing light to us.
But at the same time, you don't even look like you were transformed. Because let's be real. There's horror story transformations,
Yeah.
and you don't look like.
Because I also did.
nowhere
Yeah, I
near.
did surgery. So like
Okay.
I'm very open.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So since my first pregnancy, I used and abused like every craving. I blew up. I was like
Okay.
never again.
Okay.
3 weeks of postpartum, I started working out like crazy, and I worked
Yes.
out through all my pregnancies, like
Mhm.
hot yoga,
Mhm.
fitness. Like I really took care of myself the best I could, and
Mhm.
so I reached a place where I really loved who I was, but like there was just certain results I could not get from the gym. Like when you have 4 kids and you have muscle separation in your tummy, a tummy tuck like is what can fix
Mhm.
that,
Got it.
And so I made sure before I decided to have a whole mommy makeover that I was doing it not out of a place of feeling like lack. Like I would love myself if I didn't do it,
Mhm.
but like I would be excited if I enhanced it a little bit,
Yes.
So once I reached that place of like truly loving myself and it not coming from like a place of like this will
Mhm.
make me feel happier,
Amazing.
I was like, let's go. And so I
Love
did
it.
like a whole makeover, like a
Right.
tummy tuck, lipo
Love
360,
it.
fat
Oh
transfer,
my
breast
gosh.
reduction and lift, like
Wow.
you
and
name
all in
it.
one too, like a package.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
you call
Dr.
this-
Cohen, you're amazing.
Oh my gosh. Shout out,
shout,
doctor.
shout out to you. You're
Shout
perfect.
out, doctor. And you call this a mommy makeover, right?
It's a mommy makeover. So
Okay.
I took advantage of everything. Dr. Cohen was perfect because I told him like I already have a really good natural build, and like even through kids, like there's like he was really excited to take me on because he was like your results are gonna be amazing,
Yes.
and so
And they are.
and
And they are.
and they're very natural, and
Yes.
so and that's what he wanted for me too.
Mhm.
And so and I even went back to tell him like I want to have a second procedure, and he was like, I don't want you to. Like,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
you look so good. Like you don't
Right.
need to do something else. So I committed to one of my coaches and good friend that I would not get a second procedure and I would work my ass off for any
Mhm.
additional results that I
love
want.
that.
Yes.
And
Powerful.
so I will say though that a lot of women do these transformations and then they keep the same habits.
Of course.
And I went like completely different.
Right.
Like how I eat, what
Yes.
like everything. I work
Right.
out so much. Sometimes I do
Mm-hmm.
2 days. I do
Mm-hmm.
challenges, no drinking challenge. Like right now I'm on a
Yes.
90-day fast from
Amazing,
drinking.
powerful.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, and I just like a lot of my friendships are like we hang out at a hot yoga mat or like I meet them for
Love
a
it.
workout. Like
Yes.
Or
or
hanging out with Eli and Mike.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right. On podcast.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like they'll be like, when can I get to see you? I'm like, well, here's my workout schedule. Let's
Yeah.
hang out,
Okay, I
you
love
know?
that. Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
it's cool because I've made so many friendships, like or like hung out with my friends in like a different space of like growing that way. And I just think that the older I get, the more I realize that like my body is a temple.
Mhm.
Yes.
It truly is a temple.
Yes.
And like everything I consume and every avenue is important to me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I just think that if I don't work out, like I've healed on my hot yoga mat. Shout out to Hot Eight Yoga.
There you go.
My separation with my kid's father, that was my healing space.
Mm.
You're sweating so much because it's 110 degrees and you're working out like crazy because it's like really intense workouts too. So no one
Wow.
realized I was crying on the mat because like you're
Wow.
dripping sweat.
Oh
But
my
I cried
gosh.
on that mat so many times.
Wow.
Like you end with like shavasana, so like you're meditating, you're praying. I visualized like what it looks like to be out of like a
Wow.
bad relationship
Amazing.
to have a business. Like so like for me physically like being fit is like really just the external benefit of like really taking care of my soul.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh, that's
powerful.
powerful. We've never done hot yoga. We've always
Been
wanted
wanting
to.
Oh,
to.
so we're gonna go together.
Okay,
There
we're
you
gonna
go.
go
Done,
together,
guys, we're
right?
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're moving to Beverly Hills, so
Yeah.
now we're
yeah.
gonna do this.
So-
now we're gonna
So
do this.
getting a little deeper, since we're getting closer to the end, it kind of already sounds like you've explained to us already one of your more significant situations you've had, because we like to kind of dig deeper and find out is there. So I'll ask you, maybe we already discussed it, but has there been a time where maybe you thought it was a giving up point? Like maybe this is it. I don't really want to continue no more. Whether it's like I want to either end my life or whether it is like I just because you say you were living in the streets at one point when you come over from
Yeah,
Cleveland.
bouncing around, yeah.
Maybe that was the worst point, but was there another worst point in your life where you just thought this is just not working for me?
Yeah, because you seem so powerful, and it seems like you're able to push through every story that you're telling us.
Yeah.
But like Eli said, was there a moment though that?
Yeah, for sure.
And I know this is a hard question.
It is, but I think it's such an important question to talk about. So when I was like, I mean, it started when I was a young girl and I would cut my wrists
Oh,
and I would try
wow.
to kill myself. Some,
Okay.
one
Oh my
time
God.
they had to take me to the hospital. I don't even know what I
Oh,
took. It was
wow.
probably ibuprofen, but I chugged bottles of pills and
Oh,
like,
wow.
and I don't know. My mom, my now mom could tell you what it was. I have no idea. I just went in there. I think that they thought it was for attention at the time, and maybe part of it was for attention.
Okay,
But
okay.
truthfully, like I didn't know if I wanted to live. Like like those thoughts had crept up. Like the pain from like cutting
Wow.
your wrist. It was so
Wow.
relieving to see the blood. Like
Wow.
it was weird. As a
Wow.
teenager, and
Ouch.
so
Yeah.
and like
Wow.
they force you to get into therapy when you're taken away in CPS, so which is a blessing.
Mm.
Although I was really bad and I hated talking to my therapist, so like I feel like they would always just graduate my sister and I because they didn't want to deal with us,
Okay.
and then they put us right back in the
Oh,
program.
wow. Wow.
So like it started then, like, and then I would grow like and be strong, and then even in my relationship, like with my kid's father, if I'm being honest, like there were moments of weakness where I'm like, how did I get here? It's this, like I took my eye away from what to be like grateful for, which is
Mhm.
he's a great dad, but really like hurtful to me. And I remember coming back to like who that little girl was and like thinking about it,
Mhm.
like, and I'm like, oh no, Angel, this is not you.
Wow.
And I do think that the more inspirational that we become, and if you have a purpose to change lives, I think the devil attacks you harder.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is like what was happening, which is like one of the reasons why I go through these like 90 days, or like sometimes I'll do 30 days or 60 days of like no
Amazing.
drinking, because I'm
Yes.
like, I need a clear brain. I'm in a pivot season. I need to be able to have full clarity over my decisions.
Mhm.
And I can't have a glass of wine to like, cope with it, or
Or
to,
numb it or something,
yeah, or
right?
just like, like go out with my friends and forget about it. It's like, I need my undivided attention to this. And
Mhm.
so has there
Wow.
been times? Yeah, I'm sure at every dark season in my life, it's probably crossed my mind,
Okay.
but like um, definitely when I was a young kid, for sure, my first boyfriend
Mhm.
that I ever had, and I won't say his name and even give him that
Yes.
light and like
Right.
platform.
No credit
Yes.
for you, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No
you're an
credit.
awful human. But he was like,
Right.
he cheated on me like middle school and high school. So it's like coming from being broken, not having a father, like filling a void with boys. And then you have this boyfriend. I mean, the good thing that came out of it is like, I grew one of my best friends, like he was cheating on me with this girl. We ditched him, and then now we're still close friends. Both moms
Amazing.
now,
Oh
great
wow.
careers, and so
Okay.
she lives in Florida now instead of Ohio, and I
Mhm.
live in LA, and we travel and see each other. Like we were
Okay.
like
Oh
driving
my
a
god.
Lamborghini together last time we were together.
Okay. Love it.
So
Love
I'm
it.
like, but I do remember at that time too, like wanting to like having those thoughts of like wanting to give up
Yeah.
because I'm like,
Right.
I want to be loved so bad,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And then I feel like every single time I have to be reminded that the love comes from here
Mhm.
Right.
and it's internal. Like I can't
Mhm.
fill that with anyone else.
I
And that's
see
why I
that.
think that you see this glow that you see
Yes.
now
Mhm.
because
Yes.
it's like, hey, like
Right.
I really do love me.
But I'll
Yes.
tell you a secret. You actually are radiating with energy, and we actually are. You're surrounded by people that actually do love you. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're really not
Yeah.
not you change yourself
Yeah.
in so many different ways
Yes.
that it demands the audience of love.
Yeah.
So I think your life has been so overcome by challenges, but you made yourself into a perfect like this perfect example of somebody who was giving up,
Yeah.
grew, understood, even have a family now, and even went through another chaos event through your
Yeah.
relationship. But you still brought up some very good children. Your boys are at a powerful
Yeah.
school.
Right.
You're in Rodeo and Beverly Hills. You have a
Yes.
great brand behind yourself, and
People following you,
yeah, exactly.
teams.
You're on this podcast. So another question I'd like to ask you is, you have selling LA luxury. Have you thought about what you want to do from here to maybe the next couple of years? What's like the next
Like,
big
what's your
move?
5-year plan?
Yeah, this is great. So yes. So Sharika and I, she's one of my soul sisters.
Love it.
We came together through a lot of chaos and dysfunction through separations and
Okay.
heartache. And she's one of the people that, God has told me like to really lean on. Like you don't always have to just be there for other people, like lean on her. And so our fun nights
That's
together
amazing.
are like planning for the future,
Yes.
you
I
know?
love this. I
So
love
That's
this.
the forecast.
yeah, she's a Virgo, so she's like all
Okay.
organized and stuff, and
Yes.
I'm like
Goodness.
visionary, like what if we
Right.
do this? And
Yes.
like
Wait, what sign are you?
I'm Capricorn
Okay,
all
love it.
Oh
day.
yeah,
Like
Yes.
I'm such a
I could
Cap.
have answered
Yes,
that.
yes. No
Yeah.
cap, no cap.
So for sure, my plans with Amory to build out Selling LA Luxury and all of the powerhouse that's going to be with like property management, leasing, developing is really important to me.
Mhm.
I'm writing my first book.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, love
So
it.
I do plan on getting into like coaching,
Love it.
becoming an author.
Is this an all Talbot?
It's like a memoir, like an
Okay.
overview of my life at first.
Amazing.
And then I think I'm gonna dive deeper into wherever like God tells me to
Wow.
go.
Okay.
Love that.
And shout out to Glenn because he
Mhm.
has pushed me to like
Mhm.
make it he even drafted me a book cover,
Amazing.
Glenn he has this way of doing
Wow.
things,
Yeah.
right, Glenn?
It's like
Right.
crazy who you attract into your world when you
Yeah.
like are ready to receive, the
Yes.
love. So that is definitely going to be a big part of my journey. And my kids are wanting to take off their YouTube channel,
Okay.
and get
I
into
love
that
it.
space. So I
Love
really want
it.
to learn what it's like to like be a
Mhm.
momager and
Mhm.
follow their dreams and be the best
That's
mom I can
amazing.
be.
My gosh.
But for me, it's really becoming like a staple name in every luxurious household.
Love that.
So I can have the capability like real estate and the money is really just a byproduct of like all the good that we can do. I
I
plan
love
on
that.
getting into like having our own organization that's charity forward and like
Mhm.
my kids having like their own brand. They're the
Yes.
Vartanian brothers and they like
Right.
to take the phone and
Wow.
vlog and
Mhm.
they like to do video tours and
That is so cool.
so I don't know. I know like a lot of travels in my future to figure out like spaces where we can bring value. Like we're going to Africa with my kids in March
Oh my
Wow.
and we're going to be
gosh.
helping a
Wow.
village there and speaking to their
Wow.
school with
Oh my
Nanzuzo. I'm so
goodness.
grateful. But a lot of like real estate is my passion in helping people and all the money that we make from that and growing that into such a like an undeniable name and brand and
Right.
successful business,
Mhm.
I think will be the reason I'm able to fund like other philanthropic like ventures that I want to do.
Wow.
Wow,
Oh
this is
my
so heartfelt.
gosh.
So, guys, Bestie, selling LA luxury. You
Right.
guys got to look at it. What are
Yes.
the best? Do you have a website?
We do sellinglaluxury.com, or you can look for Angel Selling LA Luxury. Let me do a soft plug for Anne Marie Selling LA
We
Luxury.
love you.
Please go follow her because she's in a
Yes.
competition right now.
Oh,
There
no.
you go.
Yeah.
And the other sites, I think it's just this is your Instagram, right?
Yeah. And then
Okay.
don't forget to follow the Vartanian brothers. They keep
Right.
asking me their influence that they're
Yes.
creating on social media. I'm going to take their YouTube channel seriously.
Yes. We're
Um,
gonna follow them right after this.
Yeah.
So can't wait. But we always like to ask our guests also if there's something that you like to finalize and tell to our audience, something that they could take with them. You've already gave so much but we do want to give you like another second for you to just
Would you like
reach
to give
out.
any words of wisdom to the to your to the
Yes.
followers?
I want to just say, if you're watching this, don't give up. How you started isn't how you have to finish. And like from a little girl from East Cleveland to the streets of Beverly Hills Flats, like honestly, the world is your oyster. Just like focus on you internally, and like everything else will come into fruition.
Wow,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
that is so
Guys, thank you
amazing.
so much
Wow.
for being here and sharing this
Thank
moment with us.
you.
And
Oh
an
my
angel,
God.
honestly, you are an angel. So
Right, literally.
Thank
We're
you
sitting
so
with an
much.
angel today. It's so
seriously,
amazing.
there's more to see. Expect to see a couple of these reels in the YouTube in a little bit of some time. But thank you for being here with us today and
Yes,
sharing
we
a
love
part
you.
of your
Thank
life
you
with
for
us.
sharing.
Love you
so much.
guys.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
Appreciate
you
you guys.
guys.